That's right, Chuck.
Hello there.
Assemble.
Just chuck a fire.
99 nerds, we're back in the studio, and I'm excited because I finally get to talk to you guys today about dun 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 Game of Thrones with Sean Terry.
Mucho shakapaka.
And not Austin, someone better, Noah Terry.
I'm vengeance.
I just finished Game of Thrones, and I told Austin, get the H out of the studio. I'm bringing in my cousin who also just finished Game of Thrones.
So good.
Not too long ago.
So good.
So that we could talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and just the crazy things that came of that show. So what's going on, Noah?
Just living life, watching Game of Thrones, hanging out. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's get it, boys.
Sean, and you've seen it, right?
Water.
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay. How long ago?
I kind of caught up. I don't remember when I started watching the show. It was long after it had already started. I basically had caught up to the show right before the final season, and then I watched the final season
As it aired.
week to week as it aired.
I gotcha.
And that was the last time I really watched the show. Was back then when that final season came out.
I gotcha. I feel like this show is a lot better
Stream.
when it's binged.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I
agree.
would have liked it as much.
I agree.
Yeah. One could make an argument that is the case for all shows, Dan.
Yeah.
We're in that period where we talk about this all the time when it comes up. Like, I don't know why in the far-flung future, the year of our Lord 2023, we're still like doing episodes week by week.
Yeah.
Like, just release the whole thing.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, Ahsoka comes out tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, but then that's like, oh, cool. I'll watch it in 2 months.
Right.
You know,
when it's
like,
all done.
And it won't be that good of a show.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I've heard good things, but I'll have to see.
It's like when you don't want to watch trailers before a movie because you really want to like get the movie, the full experience. It's like, well, we don't want to watch shows week by week. We want to get the full experience.
Exactly.
I hear you. Oh, bro. Well, let's dive right into Game of
Let's
Thrones
get it.
because I have a lot to say. I'm going to try to contain this into one episode of a podcast. But in reality, I have about 10 episodes of content I could go through.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So, just to recap, this show is amazing, okay? Just general thoughts. The show is amazing. It brings every character, every type of character arc on the field, on the playing field. There's so many different full circle moments that happen throughout the 8 seasons. The music is awesome. The action is awesome. All these things are amazing. I think what the show does a really good job of is telling a story. I can't name too many loose ends that they didn't tie up. I know there's some, but they did a very well job of completing the story, I think. But that being said, completing the story doesn't mean a happy ending.
Exactly.
I think this show does a great job of teaching you things do not go the way you want them to or hope them to.
Right.
But you still enjoy it, and it's still great.
Yeah. The show's a tragedy.
Someone had to die.
Yeah.
So, Noah, what are your general thoughts before we dive into like the seasons?
Are we rating or like just general thoughts?
You can give your rating overall.
I'm not gonna rate it until we really start talking about it and I think about it. But no, I like what you said. It's exactly that. It's a it's not a good wholesome show to watch and everybody wins at the end. It's a tragedy and it's just brutal to watch. Character to character just die that you love. My wife actually printed out this beautiful list of me and Drew, houses and stuff like that. And I'm looking at it right now and it's just clicking in my head. Like every single character in here is dead.
Oh my gosh.
Like nobody wins in the end.
No.
So
Yeah, this show finds a way to stab you in every spot of your body
awful.
that won't kill you,
yeah,
but will hurt you.
it's just brutal.
So I'll give my rating. I think this show overall 9.8.
Oh my gosh.
9.8, and that's the highest I've ever rated anything.
I'm gonna do 9.7.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna do a 9.7.
Dang. Yeah, high praise.
Dude,
I don't know where this show ranks amongst like all shows of all time.
It's one of the shows of all time.
Is it? Okay.
Is it?
I would
Okay,
guess that
cool.
because this is great. But I will say, this is not a show for everyone.
No,
It's not a show for kids. It's not a show for
for mom.
mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't let your mother watch
Right.
this show. And there's definitely some themes and scenes that even some men and young women shouldn't see.
It's grotesque. That's for
But
sure.
just for the culture, just for 99 Nerds, I had to watch this against, my own will, I guess.
There you go. You wanted to be a part of the culture, a part of the conversation.
Exactly. So I did it.
like 10 years later. But yeah, let's do it.
I'm a little late, but
I
it's
suppose
okay.
that your experience years later was positively shaped.
Exactly.
Then
Yes.
same with Noah. Than most of us who watched it when the show premiered.
Yes. I think there's a lot of controversy about the ending of the show, which we'll get into. But just to start, season 1 kind of sets the tone. We got the story of Ned Stark and his kids, and they're setting up the different players on the playing field, establishing the Game of Thrones for the Iron Throne. But the story starts off with Ned Stark, an honorable man, the most honorable man you'll ever meet. And it's his story becoming the King's Hand.
The Hands
And
King sounds like a
that's
totally
Jamie.
different job.
Oh no. And it's a story of ultimately Ned Stark and his honor leading to his death.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how the show catapulted into this story. Basically, Ned Stark knew a secret about the king, and he did the honorable thing to
Investigate.
let the people know.
Yeah.
And he was killed for it in an awful way.
Yep.
So
Well, I would say that's what makes that first season so good. Is it starts off with a really good mystery.
yes,
Who killed John Aaron? What's going on?
Yeah.
I would actually compare. A lot of shows have like okay first seasons, and then people talk about how they get better and better and better. I think Parks and Rec is a good example. People think the first season is and then it gets better. Season 1 of Game of Thrones does exactly the smart thing that Stranger Things season 1 did, which is it starts off with a mystery that the entire plot centralizes around.
Yes.
It's like the nature of John Aaron. How did he die? What's the secret that he was keeping? And even though not necessarily every plot line actually ties to that, you have every character is associated to somebody who is kind of wrapped inside that. So it kind of keeps all these connections together as the plot moves forward.
Right.
and John Aaron was the Hand of the King.
Right. He had racks on his eyes. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. So the Hand of the King dies. They're trying to figure out who it is. They name Ned Stark to be the new Hand of the King, where he starts figuring things out. He goes to tell a secret, and he is beheaded before he can tell everybody.
Right.
In front of both his daughters, which is really jacked up.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, the end of this season really, I thought was comparable to. I had the same gut-wrenching moment as when Negan kills Glenn
Yeah.
in The Walking Dead.
Yep.
I had this same moment when Ned Starks get beheaded.
Yeah.
Because he had a chance not to get beheaded. He was offered a way out to just tell the truth about the king. And by telling the truth, basically he would be lying and saying the king is the rightful heir to the throne, which he wasn't.
Right.
So he ends up
You could compromise.
a good compromise, yes. He ends up compromising and lying to everybody that, yes, this is the true king, even though it wasn't. And he says, okay, thanks for telling the truth, but we can't have traitors. And then he beheads him right then and there.
And that's when Joffrey became the most hated human being in the world.
Yep.
Noah, when you first started watching the show, did you know about that end of season 1 twist?
No,
Ned Stark
no.
being
So
executed?
I watched it with my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and my wife. I've like twice a week for I want to say like 3 months, but yeah, we were in their basement. I remember discussing with my brother-in-law. I'm like, man, I love Ned. He's the coolest character in the world.
Yep.
And then
man.
just literally, I swear it was that episode.
That's
that
how
he
they
just-
get you.
Yeah.
I would say when I watched the show, that was like one of the only real things about Game of Thrones I knew. That the because the books have been the book series has existed since like the 90s.
Right.
So that was something I knew about the books. I knew about the show. Oh, it's got this crazy twist in the first book. The main POV character gets killed, and that's like what sets it apart from all these other fantasy novels. Is that it's so much more gritty and oh no, it's unpredictable plot. So it's interesting that neither of you guys seem to have any clue that was going to happen.
It's crazy because he was wait, Boromir, right? I'm thinking that right?
Yeah.
so
Sean
it's-
Bean.
Yeah, so it's Sean Bean, and he's like the most A-list character on the show. And then that's what totally threw me through a loop that I'm like, oh, he's going to be the main character through all of this.
Yeah.
And then just,
Yeah, they really set the tone that like this
Flip
is
me.
your protagonist.
Right.
This is your hero. This is
I mean,
like
you're with them the entire first season. And then they just end it like quickly too. It's not even like a dramatic thing.
and what I was saying during that season was like you know him from Lord of the Rings where he kind of has a downfall where he like straight up wants the ring for himself.
Give it to me.
But then he has his redemption moment and dies, whatever, in
Yep.
Lord of the Rings. But in this one, he's the complete opposite, but he's still playing the same character.
Yep.
He's that medieval, like, no change to his look, the same hair, same, like,
Yeah.
so he looks exactly how he was in Lord of the Rings, except total flip of character. He's an honorable, awesome dude.
He's just Sean Bean being Sean Bean.
Yeah.
You got Sean Bean. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They cut his head off. It was
Yeah,
bad.
they beheaded his beaner. So yeah, that kind of catapults the story into the Starks versus the Lannisters.
Right.
The Lannisters have their son on the throne, Joffrey, who might be one of the worst characters in any show, any movie. He's the worst.
Where's he on this list? Yeah, he's just, oh god, I hate him.
But so season 2, the Starks are not happy that their father is gone.
I mean, how could you be, right?
Exactly. So season 2 is the story of like the Starks banding together, getting as many people as they can together to
A
start
clash
a war.
of kings. one
Yeah,
might
it's like
say.
the start of the what is it? The five
War of the Five Kings.
War of the Five
Yes.
Kings. Yeah.
And which set this up was the king that was on the throne, Robert Baratheon. He died,
Right.
and he had a son with Cersei, who we will talk about.
Yeah. Even worse.
And so basically Robert dies. So his son, the next oldest, takes over, and this is Joffrey. And basically the secret is Joffrey is not a legitimate son of Robert. He's actually Jaime and Cersei's son. Jaime Lannister is Cersei's brother.
Oh yeah. We're getting into that.
Muka Shagapaka.
Oh my gosh.
So it gets wild, and you find this out that Cersei and her brother are having kids together through the lens of Bran. Bran catches Jaime and Cersei in a room and doing some bad things, and Jaime throws him out a window, like 3 stories up, 4 stories up.
Breaks his legs.
Breaks his legs. That's Bran's story. We'll get back to him later on, but Bran has
That's
broken
pretty much
legs.
all that happens with him. Honestly.
Bran the Broken. But so you've got all these different people that think they have the rightful claim to the throne.
Yeah. You got, God, what are their names?
So this season is about the 5 kings. So the 5 people who think they have ownership of the throne. So you got Stannis,
Baratheon.
which is Robert's older brother.
No. His next youngest brother.
Yes, Robert's next youngest.
Yes. And then
And then there is another Baratheon brother named
Renly.
Renly.
Yeah. Thank you, Devin.
There is Robb Stark, who the North claims as their king. And Robb Stark is out for vengeance for his father being beheaded. And then you have Joffrey, who is on the throne.
Right.
illegitimately because he's Jaime's kid, not Robert's, but the world doesn't know that.
Exactly.
And then the fifth one was
That would be the Iron Island.
Balon Greyjoy.
oh, Balon Greyjoy. Okay.
Which is just, come on.
Just an opportunistic, it's World War II. Okay,
I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring.
I guess I'll just throw my hat out there and
Right.
see if I can get away with it.
I got ships. Let's do it.
Right.
I feel like there's a World War II parable there of like, oh, the world's going crazy. I guess I'm just gonna. Nobody's gonna stop me, so I'm just gonna.
Japan just throwing a plane at Pearl Harbor. That's about it.
So Stannis Baratheon, he has this army, but he is straight up selling his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
He's got a lady with him who is the Lord of Fire's like priestess.
The Lord of Light, yeah.
Or the Lord of Light,
Fire
yeah.
God. I
She's
don't
the
remember.
devil.
So she's in his ear, claiming that the Lord of Light is leading them to the Iron Throne where Stannis will one day rule.
Right.
So Stannis is trusting this creepy woman and doing anything necessary to get himself to the throne.
A religious cult.
Yes.
Yes. Basically what they do is they sacrifice people for the Lord of Light by burning them alive.
Yep.
It's pretty messed up.
Awkward because, the viewer knows things that obviously most of the people in the world can't know. But the viewer would infer like, well, technically, yes, Stannis Baratheon has the legitimate claim to the throne if we're being technical about it. But then he's also like into the occult. So you're like, no,
Well, yeah, he's not.
let's not do that.
Not a good choice. So then it shows you the story of Renly Baratheon, who gets the courage to come out and say, no, it's my throne for the taking.
He just assumes he'll be better than his brother.
Yeah,
Maybe, but also like just never gonna work.
right.
He's shorter.
All he's got is
my
Captain
gosh.
Phasma. That's it.
He's got Captain Phasma. He's got his Rainbow Knights.
Which is Brienne of
for-
Tarth.
You're right.
So yeah, Brienne of Tarth is his Kingsguard lady, formerly known as, or I guess not formally, but
Captain Phasma was after.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's in Star Wars as Captain Phasma, Chrome Dome.
Chrome Dome.
But basically, through some dark magic, Stannis kills his brother Renly. So there goes a king. And then Stannis invades King's Landing towards the end of the season.
Wild.
Battle of Blackwater. That's kind of their. I guess this show tends to do their penultimate episode. Episode 9 of a 10-episode season is like the big
Oh, yeah.
the big battle or the
Yep.
big twist, something like that.
Something always happens on episode 9.
The season finales are always
Wild.
bomb.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was. Tyrion Lannister comes to the rescue.
Boom.
Now, we didn't mention Tyrion, but Tyrion's one of my favorites.
He is the show.
Tyrion is the imp. He is a Lannister. His story is that he is the brother of Jaime and Cersei. His father is Tywin Lannister, who looks and sounds exactly like Count Dooku, but he's not.
No.
He is,
Played by Charles Dance.
yes, he is the man, like the most powerful man in Westeros. He pretty much the wealthiest man alive. He's got the biggest army, all that good stuff. But back to Tyrion. Tyrion is an imp. He is the midget dude played by Peter Dinklage. And his story is a tragedy. His family hates him because at childbirth, he killed his mother. Not on purpose, obviously, but his family blames him for it. So they hate him and they treat him like doo-doo.
Tragic.
So you get his story. You get this man who kind of overcomes a lot of stuff. And even though he's little and can't really fight, he is knowledgeable and hilarious at times.
Yeah, what makes Tyrion a great character is that despite being underprivileged or disadvantaged, he is the smartest guy in the room.
And the funniest,
Yeah, and those are both qualities that make him very likable.
for sure. And he is placed in the most unliked family.
Yeah.
You kind of come to hate that name Lannister and everybody that's tied to it.
Maybe
Except
another
for Tyrion.
aspect of Tyrion that makes him work really well is he seems to be smarter than the politics around him. He seems a little bit less petty, less prone to conspiracies and outlandish suspicions and superstitions. So he's the one who kind of puts pieces together of what's going on better than most.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would put it. And throughout season 2, he kind of has a cool little story where he's captured by the Starks. Obviously, Ned was just beheaded, or this might be season 1. I can't remember.
This was, season 1. This kind of got picked up
So
because
before the beheading.
Yeah, this was after Ned Stark. This was when Bran. It was discovered that Bran was not only he fell out a window, but then an assassin tried to kill him while he was in a coma still. His mother realized that this was no accident. Somebody has been trying to murder my son. Eventually, she tracked down the dagger the assassin had as the property of Tyrion. And that's how they eventually they found a way to arrest him.
And it was Valyrian steel. Yeah.
That's important.
That comes into play
I looked that
later.
up today, actually. It was Valyrian steel.
Long story short, it wasn't Tyrion's dagger. It was kind of a frame. He was kind of framed, but gets into a whole other issue.
So much. And that's the thing. There's so many moving parts in this show and so many characters.
Right.
It's so hard to dissect everything in a one podcast.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just trying to keep it generic.
He's a systematic, dynamic character.
Yes. So the end of season 2, Stannis goes to take King's Landing, which is where the king resides, the Iron Throne. And Tyrion notices that King Joffrey is a punk. He doesn't step up to fight for his people. And
He's
he kind of
cruel and
very
foolish and arrogant. And
Yes. So Tyrion steps up,
Baby.
saves the day.
He's a baby.
He discovers that there are bombs underneath King's Landing.
God, what is that called?
I don't remember what it's called.
Flame. Dragon's
Jelly.
fart.
We'll call it that. Dragon jelly.
Dragon snot.
Yeah.
So he discovers that they have that under the city, underneath the sept, and he uses that to blow up Stannis' ships as they're coming in, and he kind of saves the day.
200 IQ play.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
So Stannis goes back
Oppenheimer
into
in
hiding.
theaters now.
Right.
So that's kind of the story of season 2. All these moving parts, all these different kings that think they have claim to the throne. And we move into season 3, which is Robb Stark moving forward with his armies towards the Lannisters at King's Landing. And he's taking people out left and right. He's this young kid. He's
on it.
He is just going off. What I love about the Starks is very early on in season 1, they find these wolves.
Dire wolves.
Yes, dire wolves. They find these baby wolves, and there's 5 of them, 6 of them. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6.
There's one for each Stark child and
One
a white
for
one
each.
for Jon Snow.
Yeah. The runt.
Yes, exactly. So all these different Stark kids have their own direwolf throughout the show, their little companion, and they're pretty sweet. And what I like about the direwolves, they are OP. Like, they're massive wolves.
Yeah.
They're huge, like bigger than a normal wolf.
Like they ride them.
But what they do a good job of is they don't overuse them in the show, which they totally could have.
Yeah, you're right.
Like any problem that happens, they could just sick their wolf on and just be like, kill them. They don't do that. They use them very well throughout the show.
I like the scene where Jaime's captured, then it comes in. And it's like, it just takes up the entire screen because it's massive.
So yeah, season 3, we've got Robb Stark making his way towards King's Landing. And just kind of geography wise, you've got the 7 kingdoms, okay, within the
Westeros.
same, yes, it's called Westeros. Across the sea is Essos, I want to say.
Yes.
And in Essos, we have a character who is coming up through the ranks, not through the ranks, but
Accumulating power.
yes, accumulating power. And this is What's her name? Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark.
Daenerys Stormborn.
Daenerys Stormborn. Come to find out,
Daenerys Targaryen.
Daenerys Targaryen, yeah.
she is a Targaryen, and the Targaryens were on the throne before Robert, before everything going on right now.
Before Robert's Rebellion.
You had a Targaryen, and this Targaryen guy went nuts and just lost his mind. He's known as the Mad King.
Right.
And what he started doing was just burning people alive. The Targaryens go hand in hand with dragons.
Yes.
They're known for their dragons and being in touch with dragons and stuff. So this guy had a dragon and basically just killed anybody he wanted whenever he wanted.
Right.
And he went mad. And
Well,
basically,
I would not necessarily her father, the Mad King. He wasn't. He didn't have any dragons. The dragons had gone extinct by that point.
right.
But the Targaryen family had claimed and conquered Westeros because they had dragons.
Yes.
But by the time her father was king, that family had lost all political leverage and was very hated and had a very fragile rule over the kingdom. And as soon as he started going crazy, people were like, yeah, it's about to go down.
We got to get rid of him.
So Jaime Lannister, who was his Kingsguard, the Mad King's Kingsguard,
Yep.
which is like the King's Knights. They're like go-to guys.
Bodyguards.
Yes, the bodyguards, as you will. Basically, Jaime took matters into his own hands and killed the Mad King, even though he is sworn
to protect him.
So Jaime is set up as like this punk dude
Yeah.
who just doesn't Oathbreaker Jaime.
A man without
Kingslayer.
honor.
Yes, a man without honor.
King Slayer.
And
Who-
that's not just a medal in the Halo games.
Yeah.
That's a
Right.
title that he had to live with.
And he's in love with his sister.
Oh,
like
gosh.
he's gross.
Go kiss
He's-
your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Got a regular Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, the
over here.
Lannisters right off the rip are just awful characters to begin with. But
yeah, they definitely set it up to where you hate Jaime.
every one of them.
You they're the worst.
Yep.
But yeah, so Jaime's known as the Kingslayer, and his full circle is actually really well done, I think, throughout the 8 seasons, which we'll get to.
Yes.
But season 3, you've got Robb Stark making his way. And basically, Robb Stark leaves the North, okay? The Starks own the North. That's like where they're from, Winterfell.
Right.
So at the top of the map, you have this giant wall, which I explained to Austin in a couple episodes ago. But you have this giant wall, and north of the wall is this big mystery. The wall is keeping something out. You don't really know. But at this wall, you have the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch is made up of a bunch of criminals and people that were sent there as like a
Prison sentence.
yeah, a life sentence,
Right.
where you just have to do your duty for the wall.
Protect the wall. Yeah.
So the Stark boys, Ned Stark's sons, are Robb, Bran, Rickon, Jon Snow, who is a illegitimate son of Ned
From a different marriage.
from a different woman, not a marriage.
Yeah. well, yeah.
Sansa, the daughters.
Sansa's
and
the
Arya.
daughter, and Arya, yes. So this show sets up this family, and this family you love.
Right.
You hate the Lannisters, but man, you love the Starks.
Right.
And basically, Jon Snow is hated by his mom because he is an illegitimate son. He's not her kid.
I hope you like pain.
So this dude is set up as,
The runt of the family.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why he got the runt of the dire wolves.
Kind of like me and the Terry's family.
He sits at a tiny table next to everybody else.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
So Jon Snow has the best story in this show. He ends up going to the Night's Watch and starting his new life there with a clean slate. And I'm sure we'll get back to him. But so you've got, back to the geography of the map, you've got the north, where there's wildlings, just random crazy people out there, north of the wall.
Yep.
You've got this mysterious threat going on where people are just dying Babies are being eaten, that type of stuff. Wild stuff.
Crazy.
Maybe not eaten, but. So then you've got the wall, the Night's Watch are there, and then just south of the wall is Winterfell. And this is where the Starks reside. And then everything south is King's Landing, everything else.
Right.
We don't need to get into everything, but so Robb Stark is making his way south. And as he's making his way south, things happen in Winterfell where it gets taken over. So Robb is stuck in this place where he's winning the war, making his way towards King's Landing, but he needs to decide, does he go back home and take his home back, or does he keep going
Advancing.
to take the King's Landing?
Right.
So along the way, he's making truces with people, and he's doing whatever he can to grow his army and ensure a victory for the Starks.
Right.
And there is this moment where his mom secures this passageway for them to go through with their army to get to King's Landing. But the deal is he gets the passage, but he has to marry the guy who owns the passage.
Walder Frey. Yeah.
Walder Frey. He has to marry a Frey girl.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh is right.
Yeah.
So Robb's mom sets this deal up. What does Robb do? He goes and falls in love with a different girl.
Yeah.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Yep.
And full circle moment, they need to turn back to go back to their home. Robb decides he's going back for Winterfell. On his way back, he sees this Walder Frey guy and basically has this moment where he's like, yeah, thanks for letting us through, but I'm real sorry about that deal because I impregnated this girl over here.
Yeah.
Talissa, I think her name was. And Walder Frey's like, that's all right, I guess.
Yeah.
Robb's like, out of good faith, I'm gonna give you my uncle, who's significantly older and way uglier than me.
He's okay.
So Walder Frey's like, no, let's celebrate. Let's throw a wedding for this guy and my daughter. So it's the end of the season, so that means something crazy is gonna happen. Now going into Game of Thrones, I've always heard the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding is, oh my God, the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
This is the Red Wedding.
That's brutal.
And I didn't know it was the Red Wedding, so it hit me like it hit Robb.
Yeah.
At this wedding, Robb and his wife are like, what are we gonna name the baby? And let's name it Ned after my dead dad.
Yeah.
And
Really
Catelyn,
hammering it in, huh?
Catelyn is like, oh man, like finally, my son is having this moment and whatever, and everything's good for the Starks finally. And then the music changes.
Yeah. That's what happens.
And I love the music in this show because it does a great job of setting the tone for like what's going on.
Yep.
So I noticed it and I said out loud to Emily, don't know what's going on, but that music is whack. Like something weird is going on. So Catelyn's at this wedding, Catelyn Stark, Ned's wife, and she is talking to one of her trusted allies, and she like pulls up his sleeve. What does she see, dog?
She sees like just chainmail armor underneath him. Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
And then there's like this moment of like, why are you wearing armor at a wedding?
It's a trap.
And then all of a sudden, Walder Frey's men all stand up and start killing all of the Stark army.
It's the most brutal scene in the world.
Catelyn freaks out. Robb's like, what's going on?
They got crossbow archers shooting down at everybody.
Yeah,
It's
just raining down, killing everyone. It is wild. They kill Robb's wife right in front of him, and then they kill Robb, and then they kill Cat.
Brutally kill her.
Then they kill Catelyn.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Talk about red.
Yeah.
Because the Stark's blood was spilled on that night.
And they did awful things with his body. It's just,
Yes, that was one of the worst parts.
yeah, it's just,
They killed the wolf, Robb's wolf. They killed Robb, and then they combined their bodies.
and they paraded him like we just won.
Where they just killed King of the North.
It's a dark show.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Yeah, so now both Ned Stark and his wife are dead.
Yes.
His eldest son is dead.
Yep.
Most of his officers and kind of leaders
Are dead.
were essentially killed in this assassination as well.
Yes.
So Rob, Kat, and Ned are dead at this point. Sansa and Arya were stuck in King's Landing. Ned promised Robert his daughter to Robert's son,
Right.
which would mean Sansa would become queen.
Yes.
So Sansa's got a cool story. We'll get back to her. We'll kind of touch on different characters at the end. But just to kind of paint the general picture of the show, season 4 is about Jon Snow
In the Wildlings.
in the Wildlands.
Yeah, in his story. Yes. In Egret.
Yes. So basically, Jon Snow is making his way up the ranks in the Night's Watch. And they are protecting the wall from wildlings, which are just people north of the wall that want to come south.
Yes.
And they're sworn to protect the wall at all costs. So the Night's Watch hates the wildlings. The wildlings hates the Night Watch for centuries. This battle has been going on between the two. But Jon Snow goes north of the wall on like a mission quest with his boys to figure out what's going on, because there's some mysterious things going on. And this is where we get introduced to like White Walkers, which are just these like ice zombie looking people.
Spooky.
It's wild.
Very spooky.
But a lot of the season is based on Jon. But you also have King Joffrey's rule and how cruel he is, how bad he treats Sansa. He ends up throwing Sansa to the curb and taking Marjorie as his wife, and then making Sansa marry
the imp
Tyrion, because he hates Tyrion and Sansa. So he's just trying to punish him.
Right.
There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of characters.
You, I think, real quick. I believe it was actually Tywin Lannister, the dad of the Lannister family, who organized that little exchange. He wanted Tyrion to marry Sansa.
That's true.
He didn't care how much Tyrion did not want to marry Sansa, but his thinking was, look, I gotta secure some alliances. I gotta like lock down some of these family things now. Otherwise, we're gonna be at war forever. And then I believe he also wanted Cersei Lannister to marry one of the Tyrell men. And the Tyrells are another very, very powerful family in Westeros. So Tywin Lannister, again, is, even though he is very cold, he's also calculating. He's kind of pragmatic about things. But that's also why his kids hate him, because they perpetually feel like they're pawns to his political game.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, like the way this show works, like the wheel that it turns on is wild.
That's great.
The way Tywin changes the game and the way Cersei plays her game, and it's too much. It's a little too much.
You can't sit here all day and just explain every...
You would just have to watch the show or watch a recap.
Yeah.
But basically, season 4 ends with Joffrey and Marjorie getting married.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. What a happy event.
A new queen. And this queen's actually...
She's for the people.
Pure.
Yeah.
Yes, she has her motives, but she's actually
But we don't know that yet.
A good queen.
Right.
So at their wedding, Joffrey is just humiliating Tyrion because he hates Tyrion. And then all of a sudden...
Joffrey dies.
Joffrey chokes to death, and on his wine, which Tyrion had been...
He was pouring.
He was the cupbearer.
He was the cupbearer.
So everyone's like, yo, Tyrion just killed the king.
Yeah.
So Tyrion goes on trial. Now, in the midst of all this chaos, Sansa is smuggled out of King's Landing because just being with Tyrion, she is an accomplice.
Right.
She gets smuggled out by
Littlefinger.
Right. Now, we haven't talked about Littlefinger yet.
He's scum too.
That's right, Chuck.
Littlefinger is the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
He is the master manipulator. He is a brothel owner.
Thrives on chaos.
He is not one to fight. Yeah. He is one to betray and manipulate.
Yeah.
So he's a sneaky little sneak. And his story is interesting because you find out more and more about him as the seasons go on. And
Peter Baelish is his real name.
Yes, Peter Baelish. But he was in love with Catelyn Stark.
Yeah.
And he loved her so much so that he was one of the driving forces where Ned Stark was
Murdered.
beheaded.
Yeah.
He set up that situation for Ned Stark to get captured and then beheaded. So
Technically, he set up everything with it. But yeah, we'll get there.
yeah, so Peter Baelish, remember that name because he is a Littlefinger. That's his name.
Little finger, little finger, little finger, little finger.
So Tyrion's on trial for killing the king. While this is going on, the wildlings attack the Night's Watch.
Right.
Jon Snow spends the whole season with the wildlings. He tries to become one of them.
He falls in love with one.
Falls in love with one of them, so much so that even off screen they get married. It's crazy. It's wild.
Right.
But Jon Snow ends up
Now
coming
that's
back.
some method acting.
Yeah. 100%.
It's crazy.
That's like when God told the prophet Hosea to marry a prostitute to make a point. Her name was Gomer.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. So yes,
You can do to help a person like that.
Tyrion's on trial.
Yeah.
And all this dude's ever done is put up with everyone's crap,
And then have his brother bail him out.
have his brother bail him out, his dad hating on him. And at Tyrion's trial, he says, forget all this trial where 3 people are going to decide my fate. I choose my right to a trial by combat. Oh my gosh. Long story short, there's a bunch of different players, but these 2 people fight for the innocence or guilt of Tyrion Lannister, and Tyrion loses. Mando
Gets his head.
yeah. So Pedro Pascal is Tyrion's champion.
Yeah.
And he gets smoked because he's too caught up in his lust for revenge.
Yeah.
So Mando gets brought in cold, and thanks, Sean.
It's true.
I can bring you in warm.
Yeah.
Bring you in cold.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No carbon freezing though for him.
Right. Because he's dead in
Yeah,
medieval
yeah,
times. So
Head exploded.
Tyrion is actually bailed out by his brother Jaime. We finally see an ounce of good in Jaime.
They smuggle him out.
He
in the middle
loves
of the
his
night.
little brother. It's
He does.
yeah.
Dang, if only I felt that way.
I know.
If only Austin felt that way, he would be on this podcast right now. So Tyrion is bailed out. He gets let go. And before Tyrion dips out of King's Landing to get away,
Yep.
because Tyrion is going to be put to death.
Yep.
And his dad was basically the judge. His dad decided that Tyrion's going to die.
Yeah.
Which is really
It's
messed
so
up.
bad.
So Tyrion sneaks out. Now, what we didn't mention about Tyrion, he is kind of a sleazebag,
Yeah.
but throughout the seasons, we see him wanting to just settle down with a woman and just love a woman and be loved.
Yep.
Instead of going around and messing around with other women. He
Yep.
just wants one woman. He falls in love with a woman.
Shay. Yeah.
Shay.
Yeah.
Secret love going on because we find out before he was in love with a woman, his father found out and had her killed.
Yeah.
So Tyrion finds this new girl, keeps her on the DL.
Did he have her killed or did he have her just like
paraded as a
super violated?
yeah.
I think she was killed.
violated then killed. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well just go all the way with it, right?
So Shay was Tyrion's love interest, and she was working as a handmaiden for Sansa, actually.
Yeah.
But her and Tyrion were secretly
In love.
dating, whatever. So at the trial, they bring Shay out, and nobody's supposed to know about Shay.
Yeah.
And Shay is on the stand,
Gut wrenching.
and she just starts lying her butt off about Tyrion. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
She says everything is true. Tyrion conspired to kill the king. And you're just like, oh my gosh. Everybody is out against Tyrion. And this was supposed to be the one person that wasn't.
You're with them now?
Yep.
And she was. She was with them now. So Shay betrayed him. and his heart breaks. And holy crap, Peter Dinklage sells that scene because my heart broke for him.
Screams.
He is just in agony that this girl would betray him.
But then he breaks free. No.
So that was before he was let go.
Jamie lets him go.
So before he dips out at King's Landing, he goes to pay his father a visit. And he goes into his father's quarters. He sneaks in because he's little and he can fit in little places.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes in and he doesn't find his dad laying in bed. He finds Shay laying in his father's bed.
Awful.
No.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're with them now?" And he kills her. And it's wild because it's like you wanted that.
You want him to be happy, and he just can't get it.
But like you almost feel good that he was able to kill her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
It kind of ruins you morally as a person,
Yep,
the
100%.
show. You kind of root for the death of people and
Joffrey choking, I was like, yes.
yeah. I wish it was a longer scene.
Yeah, 100%.
Just kidding. But so Tyrion kills this girl and then he goes and finds his dad. And then he has this
on
like
the toilet.
he has this dialogue between him and his dad, and
While he's on the toilet.
his dad's like, "You're not gonna kill me," and then he does.
Yeah.
He straight up kills him. So then Tyrion runs, but Tyrion did what he had to do, and then got out
He gets in a small box and he goes in a ship.
with Varys.
To Essos.
To Essos.
That's where Daenerys Stormborn is.
Oh my gosh!
What's going on with her story?
She's taking everything.
Yeah.
Daenerys is
She's got dragons now.
yeah.
I mean, Daenerys' storyline is, there's a lot of layers to it, but it's also fairly simple. It's like
Right.
a very linear.
Yeah.
She starts off as like a kind of slave wife to a warlord. He dies.
Aquaman. Yeah.
She kind of shows her survivability and adaptability by still having people loyal to her after that happens.
Yep.
She supernaturally gets dragons from these eggs that were gifted to her, but should have been like dead.
Right.
And then it's just kind of a steady climb, a rise
her
to power,
dragons just getting bigger and bigger and
gaining
bigger.
more and more, bigger armies, more love and respect from people.
She's
power,
going around to
influence.
slave countries and freeing them.
Yeah.
And then the slaves want to be part of her army.
yes,
Yeah.
she is
Very
this
clear analogy to Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She is this embodiment of like hope and freedom.
Oh,
and
wait, never mind.
a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And she's just saying like her father was the Mad King who went mad and wanted to burn everybody in the
Right.
city down.
I am a princess.
And she's like, I am a princess of
Westeros.
no, where was she from?
Essos.
I don't know.
Valyria.
Targaryen.
Targaryen. So she has, in her eyes, she has the rightful claim to the throne.
Right.
She's got a great story. All you know is her father was the worst, and then her brother is the worst.
Yeah.
They get rid of him pretty quick.
Very quickly.
Oh my God, we're moving now. It's
Yeah. So
getting so good.
her story is just like, we're gonna kill all the masters
Yeah.
and free the slaves.
Right.
And you just see it through this lens of like freedom and hope, and she's so good, and she's freeing all these people and growing her her
army.
Yeah, she's becoming more and more powerful in creating her kingdom. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Be the right word.
Her kingdom is building. All she needs is to go overseas to Westeros, take it over, and rule as queen.
Right.
She's got 3 dragons. How do you beat that?
They are nukes. That's
Straight up.
Yeah.
So we see the dragons growing up throughout the seasons, but that's pretty much her story.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
She hires some Unsullied people. There's a what's the girl's name?
Melisande.
Is it Melisande?
Missandei or
Missandei.
Missandre.
Missandei and the red woman.
Bombay.
Yes.
Missandei. Yeah. And then you got Jorah Mormont, who's in love with her, but we don't go into that. That's And then Drogon. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dragon.
Drogon the dragon. Viserys the dragon.
And Rhaegal.
Rhaegal the dragon.
I don't think he goes by, hey, look, it's Drogon the dragon. Drogon. Like Barney the dinosaur.
Right.
He's friendly. He's the friendly one.
I doubt. Literally, the opposite is true.
But throughout the 8 seasons, they do a good job of like, Daenerys, your father was like the worst thing that's ever happened in the kingdom, but you are this perfect, you
Polar
are
opposite.
polar opposite of your dad, and
Daenerys.
you're the rightful queen, and you're gonna be better than he ever was, and exactly what the nation needs. And you see her story through this lens of
You root for her through
You
the
do.
entire show.
she's Han Solo's
butt.
girlfriend.
Yeah, she's
you
kicking butt.
just want nothing but the best.
She's the girl from Secret Invasion.
She's the
Gaia.
girl. She's the girl on fire.
The girl on fire, Stormblood, leader of the Andals, mother of dragons,
she's
whatever
got-
else I don't remember.
She's got 100 different names. And there's just John, good old boy.
And she can speak every language ever, apparently.
Yeah, that's 100%.
A walking,
Polyglot.
a walking Rosetta Stone. But her story is, we'll get there to the end. But back to what else is going on in season 4. Actually, that pretty much concludes
that's season 4, yeah.
Tyrion kills his dad and goes overseas.
Yep, season 5. He goes to meet Daenerys, right? I think that's season 5. Basically.
Season 5, yes.
And then he's like kind of her hand.
Yes. So Tyrion becomes the hand of the queen.
Yeah. And he's about her too. He's like, this girl's great.
Now, this is an interesting development in that show because up until this point, there had been really very little crossover between Daenerys' storyline and Westeros's storyline. There are some characters that kind of transitioned over to Essos. One was one of the former Kingsguard. I don't remember his name.
Yes.
He decided once King Joffrey took the throne, he basically said, I'm not serving this little kike.
I can't remember his name, but you're right.
But he decided to defect to join Daenerys.
Yes.
And then Tyrion made his way over to Essos as well.
Yes.
Along with Varys, yeah.
A lot of crossovers. There's some families in there too that, like people that are family that are on one side and on the other. But this is the start. It's the big part.
So yeah, in season 5, we get a lot of Arya's story, which I didn't understand
Yeah.
at all. A girl is no one. Okay.
They were just trying something.
Yeah.
So Arya is
She's wearing people's faces.
she at her father's beheading in season 1. She ends up escaping King's Landing, and just her story is kind of all over the place. Where she's on the run, she becomes an assassin.
Yeah.
And she learns how to fight, how to kill, and everything bad happens to her.
Yeah.
She is on the run trying to get back to her family, but her family keeps dying left and right. She shows up to the Red Wedding at the moment where they're all dying.
And then has to
And she's
fully-
like, oh, the Starks are here? And then she sees her brother's dead body riding by her with the wolf head attached to him. You're like, oh my gosh, she just got there.
and then she meets her friend, the Hound,
So
and then
the Hound was
What's the opposite of friend?
enemy.
It's very much Beauty and the
they got a
Beast.
beautiful relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I like the Hound. He's a good character.
And he gets punted off a mountain
By Captain Phasma.
by Captain Phasma.
He's chrome domed.
We've all been there.
So yeah, Arya, her story is just one of forging a psychopath
Murder,
killer.
assassin.
And like everything bad happens to her. So she's just like this little girl with trauma.
Yeah.
And like she has a moment where she becomes the Joker.
Oh my gosh.
So after her brother
What are you
died,
talking about?
after her mom died,
Yeah.
her and the Hound go to the next closest place, her aunt's place.
yeah.
Where her aunt like rules over this like city, and she shows up and her aunt is dead,
Yeah.
and she laughs like the Joker. I don't know if you remember that. That moment stood out to me because I
In the
thought,
Vale?
whoa,
You mean the Veil? Yeah.
She just starts laughing when they tell her.
She's a psychopath.
Yeah. So she's been through it all, and it takes its toll on her. But season 5 is about Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay Bolton, now that the Starks are pretty much dying off and they left Winterfell, Ramsay Bolton comes in, manipulates his way.
Takes over.
He is also a illegitimate son of
the...
I don't remember his dad's. Roose Bolton. It is Roose Bolton.
It is
Roose Bolton was the accomplice that Catelyn Stark.
Can I just say real quick, George R.R. Martin is a coward for not naming that character Luce Bolton.
Yeah, what a jerk. You were so close to
This
great.
close to greatness.
So Roose Bolton was the guy with chainmail on at the Red Wedding.
Yes.
He was the betrayer.
He is a house... What would they be, like a house representative of Stark? Like you call your banners. He's a
bannerman.
A bannerman of the Starks. Yeah.
Yes. So he betrayed them, killed them all, and then took over their home. That was part of the deal.
Yeah. And they fillet people.
Exactly.
They're the flayers. Yeah.
They're known to like skin people and kill them. But he has an illegitimate son, Ramsay.
Yep.
And Ramsay has quite a story. He's another hated character.
Yeah. He's a psycho.
He tortures people. He kills people with his dogs.
Gosh, my camera's lost focus. Just like this podcast.
What?
I'll fix it.
We're doing all right.
Yeah, we're getting there. Keep moving.
So Ramsay ends up killing his dad and taking over Winterfell.
Yeah.
And
basically he marries Sansa.
yes, Sansa is smuggled out by Peter Baelish from King's Landing.
And then, yeah.
She ends up, yes, long story. That's not really needed, that storyline, I guess. But she, she's married to Ramsay.
Not happily.
She's Lord of Winterfell again, and basically she escapes because Ramsay is a
Animal.
bad person.
Yes.
So she runs away. Sansa's always on the run. There's always bad people messing with her, and
He's got reek.
so she runs to the Night's Watch.
Yes.
She tells Jon Snow, "I need you." But
Help.
what happened to Jon Snow? Noah?
Yell for help.
What's his story about? What has he been doing this whole time?
He is gathering all the people for the White Walkers. Yeah,
Yes.
he's basically like, hey, these White Walkers, thing is, winter's coming.
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
He realizes
He is the Al Gore of Westeros.
Yeah.
Jon Snow has this revelation that
The Edward Snowden of
Yeah.
Westeros.
Yes.
the
I said both
wildlings.
of those in case in the edit I want to decide which one's more interesting.
The John Snowden of Westeros.
Jon Snow has this revelation that the wildlings are not the biggest threat, the main threat to the world, and that the dead that is coming, winter is coming. He realizes this is more important than anybody knows. This army is huge. I don't think we can beat them.
Yep.
And he's like, we need to stop fighting the wildlings and we need to focus on this dead army because we're in trouble. But the Night's Watch and the wildlings hate each other. But what does Jon Snow do?
Jon Snow, basically, long story short, he ends up becoming the Night Watch
Commander.
Commander. Yeah, commander of the Night Watch. And then he basically is like, listen, these wildlings, they're going to be part of us. And people in the Night Watch are like, nah, we don't like that, you know. But he's like, I'm captain, whatever.
Yeah, I'm Lord Commander.
I'm Lord Commander.
And this is my call.
Yeah,
this
forget
is a
it.
hard call, but I'm making it.
So then he brings in all of these, wildlings. And then, long story short, there's a feud going on. And then the feud ends up killing Jon Snow.
Yeah. They're like, hey, why don't you come check this out, Jon Snow? And he's like, what?
Why don't you just come outside real quick? I just got to show you something. It's like, you'll never believe it. It's totally crazy. It's just, I think this thing I found.
And it's like a post that just says traitor.
Okay, guys, really subtle. What's the...
And then they'll just stab him.
Yeah, they stab him to death. And then an episode cuts, and then he gets resurrected by the dead.
That's next season.
Then is that how it works?
It was the start of the next season.
That's crazy because we streamed everything, and I was like, no way, what's happened? Yeah, we didn't have to wait for that.
So another interesting thing about the show when I watched it that I was well aware of was I knew about the Ned Stark twist.
Yeah.
And then I also knew currently where the books are at.
Okay.
They end there.
Okay.
Jon Snow getting murdered by his own
Yep.
brothers and him dying.
Yeah.
and that's the end of the last book.
Okay.
So I knew that as well. That was one of the things I'm like, okay, yeah, it's kind of ending on a cliffhanger right now with the books.
I
and
can see where people get upset about it then. But go on. Yeah.
I do enjoy the way they brought him back. I felt like that was established well in the lore of the world. And, you know, it's not just like Deus Ex Machina plot armor, you bring him back from the dead. It's like, well, it feels like it has a lot more meaning and thought put into it than that.
Right.
And I was going to talk about that after this recap. They are so purposeful and intentional about big things that happen in the plot. It's not like the craziest thing.
Right.
Like, there's never a moment where I'm like, I feel like that shouldn't have happened, because they do setup, reminder, payoff.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And they do setups by teaching you that someone has come back from the dead before. Like they it's not the first time you've heard this.
Right.
So it's not like Jon Snow coming back to life. Okay.
Yeah, you got the Red Witch, was it a Melisandre?
Yeah.
Yeah, she, before this, was with Stannis Baratheon, and then basically he, he's the, what did they call him?
The rightful heir.
The rightful heir to the throne, everything he's going to do, and then basically he just dies. So she's like, now what do I do? So then she ends up finding Jon Snow, and then she resurrects him. And then she's like, oh my gosh, maybe he's like maybe this kid's something special. So more on that. But then, she resurrects him, and that's the start of season 6.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we're getting there.
So Sansa shows up.
Yep.
Jon's resurrected, and she says,
Hey, I heard you were dead. So glad that's not true. Anyway, I got a problem. Can you fix it?
Yeah. 100%.
Just immediately starts making demands.
No,
Do this, John.
no.
Do that, John.
we missed a huge part with where they.
no, we didn't. So, yeah, she's like, hey, Ramsay, my husband, is the worst, and he took our home. He also took our brother, Rickon.
Right.
Now, I haven't mentioned Rickon pretty much at all, and that's because there's nothing to talk about. He is cannon fodder.
The kid could barely run.
There is nothing.
Yeah,
there is nothing to talk about with him. He doesn't have
it's
any.
awkward because his character at the start of the show is a very young boy, probably like 5 years old, if that.
Yeah.
And even though as the show progressed, obviously the actor aged, they really never knew what to do with the character. So they kind of like just have him exit for a while. Like, oh, he went to get somewhere safe. And then in season 6, it's like, oh, by the way,
He's
not
back,
safe.
but he's captured
By the
Yeah,
Boltons.
he's just cannon fodder. That's all he is. Yeah, there's nothing happened. When I saw him the next time he showed up,
Yeah.
I asked, who is that? Like, I don't even know Rickon. Who is that? He's a Stark? What are you talking about?
I remember him.
And
but,
then,
yeah.
So, Ramsay captures him, kills his wolf, sends the wolf head to Jon Snow to let him know, I got your brother. Come get it.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Night's Watch that I think is kind of cool,
Run from the Lord.
they are sworn to an oath to protect the wall. They are like losing all sense of identity. Their identity is now a protector of the realms and the Watch.
Right.
And one of my favorite parts is Jon Snow comes back from the dead.
Yep.
Right after coming back from the dead, he hangs all the people that stabbed him. And then they're like, Lord Commander, what do we do? And he's like, I'm not your Lord Commander. My Night's Watch has ended.
Yeah.
I've already died. Because once you die, you're done. But he came back. So now he's like, I can leave. So he dips out. And him and Sansa go to take Winterfell and save their brother.
Yep. And he takes his army with him,
And
Of
that's
wildlings who are now cultishly loyal to him.
Yeah.
Because he not only saved them from the north of the wall, brought them forward in their moment of most dire need because the White Walkers finally revealed themselves. Then he died for them. And then he rose again.
dang,
Christ.
it's like another story I know.
Yeah.
Narnia, Aslan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Jesus.
Every time.
So season 6, Jon goes to fight Ramsay, and they talk in a field before the war. And Ramsay's like, you know what? you're not gonna win. I have a bigger army. I'm more prepared, and I think you should just give up. And Jon Snow's like, well, why don't you fight me like a man, 1-to-1, 1-on-1, right here, right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, do it. And Ramsay's like, nah, I'm not an idiot.
I don't remember this scene.
I love that scene.
It's great. Yeah.
Jon Snow challenges him to a 1-on-1.
He's
for
like, let's do it
Winterfell.
like the old days and just me and you.
And Ramsay's like, nah, because he knows he'll
And then
lose.
he's like, what?
Fair
He
enough.
was like, what would you do if? Yeah, what is he? He's like, what are your people gonna say when they figure out that you won't fight for them?
yeah.
And then Ramsay just Ramsay just lets him have it. Oh god, it's so good.
And then, so next morning, well, at that meeting, Sansa tells Ramsay, you're dead tomorrow. You're going to die, Ramsay.
Right. Then Sansa dips.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to see any bloodshed. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out. So next morning, Jon Snow shows up. Ramsay has Rickon on the other side of the battlefield, and he tells Rickon, run to your brother. Go. Run as fast as you can.
No one got you. I'm the gingerbread.
So Rickon is sprinting through this field to get to his brother, and Ramsay starts teasing this kid with bow and arrow. He's shooting just right of him, just left of him. And as Rickon is about to reach Jon Snow, which Jon Snow took off on his horse to meet his brother halfway.
You're right. In the middle of no man's land.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is.
Right.
No man's land.
Right.
As Rickon is reaching Jon, Ramsay buries an arrow through Rickon's chest. And it's like, it's going to happen, that he's going to die. But the anticipation of like him getting to Jon.
He just is trying his hardest to get to him.
This show does such a good job.
You know what actually I remember about that scene? It does actually pretty well. A lot of times in movies or almost in video games, all sorts of stuff, there's like the rule of 3. So it's like, okay, the first one misses, the second one misses, and then you're expecting the third one to get him, but the third one misses as well.
Yeah. And
then there's like a full like 30 seconds, and then you think, well, he missed, he's out of range now.
Right.
Good job, he made it. And then,
Yep.
Zigzag. That's
Serpentine.
Serpentine.
So at this moment, Jon prematurely, out of anger, went towards his brother.
Rushes
to
the
save
field.
him.
Yeah.
And this leaves him vulnerable, where it's only Jon Snow in the middle of the battlefield against the entire army of Ramsay Bolton. And probably the coolest looking scene, like the most, like you want to put it as your background on your phone. Jon Snow unsheathing his sword,
long claw.
and it's just like thousands of men charging Jon Snow, and he's just like, this is it, let's go.
He just drops his sheath. He's not picking
Yeah,
it back up.
he's done.
He's dying here.
As these men are about to kill Jon Snow's men come up.
Just
and
Berard.
it's just boom, the war begins.
And the battle of the illegitimate sons.
The illegitimate
Begins.
children.
Yeah.
And this was one of my favorite parts of the whole show.
I think universally this is argued as the high point of the show. I think as far as like IMDb ratings and stuff like that.
I definitely could see that.
As far as like, I mean, not just television, but just any filmmaking, it's one of the best kind of sword and shield and bow action battle sequences you'll see.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
anything.
It
sure.
really, it's not like, I mean, Lord of the Rings is phenomenal, Helm's Deep, all of that, but like it's more choreographed than anything. This really just shows like the brutality of what warfare is.
Yeah.
And it's pushing crowds of people and just spearing and then pushing,
squeeze,
spearing,
Yeah.
pushing, spearing.
And oh man, they do such a good job of making you feel hopeless in the show.
Literally, I mean, he's just getting crushed by his own men, and he's just fighting his way to the top for just to breathe.
He is getting just paraded, like he is on the ground, just dying, getting stampeded.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do a good job of like making it so real to you, the viewer. Like you almost feel like you're Jon Snow in that moment, and you're just thinking, this is it. How do I get out of this? Like you're done. And you as an audience member, you're just dying on the inside.
Yeah.
and they do this every season with Ned Stark, with Robb and his mom, and now Jon Snow, who's already died.
Right.
That moment, don't even get me started on that. But
It's the most brutal battle.
If I fall
sure.
again, don't
And-
bring me back.
this is where Sansa shows up with Peter Baelish and their men.
She's like Gandalf in Helm's Deep.
And they liberate them. They take Winterfell.
And then
They kill Ramsay.
John. Well, yeah.
No, they capture Ramsay.
John beats Ramsay to a pulp, and then
Sansa releases his hounds on him. And kills him. So season 6, that's mostly what it's about, but also what's going on in King's Landing. There's like a religious cult rising up because Joffrey died.
Shame. Yeah.
Tommen, his little brother, took over, and he is nothing like Joffrey. He is a sweet soul. He is just a good dude.
He's a good boy.
But
The entire show should not have happened with him. It's just
he has no grit though. He has no like.
yeah.
He doesn't impose his will in any way. He's
His
just
wife's
like,
oh, let's just manage state and church, and he's like, all right, it's okay, let's do it. Whatever you say.
And there's a lot that goes on with that story, but basically the church kind of takes over King's Landing.
Yeah.
They become almost more powerful than the king.
Yep.
And that's because of the king's just ignorance and just
He has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cersei doesn't like that, so she blows up everybody.
yeah. And that's how the season ends. And that episode is actually one of my favorites.
Really?
The music that plays that whole episode, and I had no idea what was coming.
Right.
I didn't expect any of that. But set up, reminder, payoff, like I told you, Sean. They do such a good job of it.
Like you told me.
Where it's not like, oh, Cersei just blew everything up.
Right.
Oh, okay. No. You knew from season 2 at the end when Tyrion found the explosions
Right.
and used them to beat Stannis.
And they said oh, we don't need all of these to beat Stannis. And it's
Right.
like, well, what's the rest of them going to be used for?
And then, like an episode before Cersei blows everything up,
Yeah.
Tyrion on the other side of the world is recapping to Daenerys like, yeah, we blew them up with this stuff that we had under the keep, under the the high or the septum or the sept, and yeah, it's still there, and it's just like a reminder. There's your reminder,
Right.
And then Cersei just manipulates things behind the scenes, and she's got an interesting story, but we don't have to go over that. But
It won't do it justice.
she ends up just blowing up everybody,
Right.
and just killing everybody.
shaves her head. Well, no, yeah, but yeah.
And then Cersei, after blowing everything up, King Tommen's like, nah, I'm out. And he just kills himself.
Yeah.
He jumps out a window. And Cersei is the only one left of her kin.
Yeah.
Other than Jaime, which,
So she's like, oh, naturally, I'm just going to take the Iron Throne.
yeah, so
There's
Cersei becomes
nobody else
queen.
is here. Yeah. So there's that. Season 7.
That's season 6. So season 7, winter has come. Jon Snow recruits Daenerys, tells her, I need help fighting the dead.
When's yeah, okay, go on.
In a battle, they their whole goal was to get a dead guy, which I think they call him a wit.
White. Yeah.
Basically a zombie. Their whole goal was to grab a zombie and bring them to King's Landing to show Cersei that these things exist.
And they're gonna kill us unless we all band together.
Like, stop trying to fight us.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
we
no
need to
longer
fight.
about a battle between us. It's a battle between the living and dead.
Exactly.
Right.
So one of the things about the show that it does, it has an interesting take on is sometimes these fantasy kind of genres have like hard magic, which like Harry Potter is hard magic. So this is what's more called soft magic, where it's a lot more vague. What is the nature of magic and miracles and superpowers? So the show very rarely has supernatural stuff happening, but when it does happen, it's like pretty crazy. People don't even know how to react to it really. And it's also the kind of show that doesn't really go out of its way to explain why these magical things are happening. So it's very natural that most of Westeros has no context to believe that these White Walkers, these like undead this undead army could be real.
Right.
So one of the issues they have is Jon Snow. Him and a very limited number of people are very, very aware of the threat, but they can't fully convince anybody apart from just showing them.
Right.
So yeah, on this mission to get a zombie to basically show the world that this exists, Daenerys helps them. She joins the cause. And one of her dragons gets killed by the Night King, the leader of the dead army. And
they inherit a dragon.
I hope you like pain.
He ends up turning this dragon, which setup, reminder, payoff again.
Yep.
This crazy thing where he just takes her dragon isn't so crazy because the episode before they show a
giant bow,
a zombie bear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the zombie,
attack them.
The zombie polar bear.
And it just establishes this idea that animals can be zombies
Good
too.
call. Yeah.
So there's your setup, or there's your setup and reminder, I guess.
Yeah.
the episode before.
And then payoff is they take the dragon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the White Walker gets his own the Night King gets his own dragon. And he uses this dragon at the end of season 7 to destroy the wall that has been
Viserin? Is the dragon?
Visceron.
yeah,
Sauron. Yeah.
He uses this dragon to
Destroy the wall so the White Walkers can now come.
So now winter is moving towards
There's no
King's
winter's
Landing.
coming. It's here. It's happening. That's season 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the end of season 7.
Season 8, the final season.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
The
it.
final season.
We're here.
And I want to note seasons 1 through 6 was 10 episodes each season.
Right.
Season 7 was 7 episodes, and season 8 was 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of controversy comes in. Daenerys goes back to fighting for the Iron Throne, and she wants to take Cersei's kingdom, her rulership, her throne. And what I think they do a good job of is Cersei is straight up a Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like she's actually a good villain. She can manipulate things behind the scenes. She always wins. She always finds a way to just do whatever's necessary. But the problem is Daenerys has dragons. And everybody's advising Cersei like she's gonna win.
Right.
Like you can't beat her. So Cersei knows of Daenerys's character and how she is one to free people and she's this beacon of hope. So Cersei moves all these civilians into the castle, basically, where the throne is, knowing that Daenerys will not destroy things if there are civilians there because she knows who Daenerys is. And in this epic Game of Thrones, Cersei, actually, pause. The beginning of the season,
Well, I was
the
gonna
dead
say,
are coming.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, this is the second half of the season.
Yeah.
This is like the
And when
end
we
of
say the
season.
second half of the season, we mean episodes 4, 5, 6,
Right.
which is
We'll get into that because I have a lot of that.
See, so episodes 1, 2, 3, the dead move on Winterfell.
Yep.
Epic sequence
the
of
long
fighting.
night. That's what they call it.
Cersei is shown a zombie, and she's like, fine, we'll stop our fighting, and we'll help you. And they're like, okay, thanks. They leave, and she's like, nah, I'm not helping them. I'm
forget
gonna
them.
I'm gonna wait till they're weak, and then I'll take whoever won and beat them.
Right.
And it's just like, what the heck? And this
Jaime's
is where
like-
Jaime comes alive.
Yeah. He's like, forget that. I'm gonna go help them.
He's like, I'm known as Jaime Kingslayer, the Oath Breaker, the guy who sworn to do this one thing and then went against everything. So you know what? You just swore to do that. I'm not going to be an Oath Breaker because I'm sick of people calling me that.
Right.
So I'm going to go help those people.
I'm gonna take my hand. He gets his hand cut off at one point. Just go over there.
And yeah, there's this epic battle. And it, again, makes you feel so hopeless because the dead, when they're killed, the Night King can just resurrect them.
Right.
And after
how do
watching...
you kill that which has no life?
Right. After watching for an hour
Right.
of like the living barely surviving and just killing as many as they can, and like they're dying little by little and little.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all the victory that they did have of all the people they killed, they're all just resurrected.
Right.
And you're like, oh my gosh. And so Bran, who we didn't talk about.
By the way, we've been able to successfully talk about this whole show without mentioning Bran
Yeah.
until just now.
His
So-
story is pretty basic. He becomes a warg. It's
He marries a tree and gets all these warg powers. Yeah.
he can see through animals, through the lens of animals. He knows everything.
He's got this lovable oaf that carries him around. It's really about it.
He becomes like the Oracle from the Matrix or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the best story, and keep going. Yeah.
He's like Gandalf.
Bran the Broken.
He's just
He's carried around by Hodor.
Yeah.
he kind of discovers time travel, but then doesn't really use it to change anything so much as he uses it to learn things.
The bigger parts of the show. Yeah. It's good.
So yeah, big concepts just in 30 seconds. Basically, the Night King wants Bran.
Right.
So the Night King finds Bran. He's about to kill Bran.
Yep.
But Arya sneaks up on the Night King.
Yep.
And goes to stab him. Ugh. Night King catches her.
Yep.
Oh no.
But
What does she do?
She's an assassin. She moves quick. How can she be caught like
He's
that?
holding her left hand with the dagger in it. What does she do? She drops the dagger with her left, catches
Into
it
her
with the right,
right.
stabs him in the chest, and he dies. The Night King is gone.
But it's like a video game. When you kill the main boss, the rest of the minions die.
Exactly.
So they just won the battle.
So they win.
Watch the show, it's great.
And then it moves into Daenerys versus Cersei.
Yep.
It's exactly like the end of Phantom Menace where they destroy the droid control ship.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll try spinning.
Wow, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Now this is pod racing.
And now this is podcasting.
Yep.
Because Cersei and Daenerys now head to head. Cersei forces Daenerys' hand by killing her left-hand woman. Daenerys gets really mad. She hops on her dragon and she just starts going nuts. She starts killing everyone. Jon Snow and his men come to help Daenerys because Jon Snow's in love with her. He's also related to her, we find out.
He's the heir to the Iron Throne.
We find out Jon Snow is actually the heir because he is a Targaryen. His mom was Ned Stark's sister,
Yep.
and she was secretly married to a Targaryen.
Yep.
So Jon Snow is a Targaryen and a Stark.
Yep.
She was married to Daenerys' older brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first dibs, got her.
Yeah.
So he's her nephew, but he's a man.
Yep.
So technically, it's his right.
Right.
As
But-
it should be.
Daenerys is forced to decide, does she want to be queen more than she wants to be the queen that the world deserves? She can't have both. She realizes this. It's either she gets to have the kingdom or she doesn't.
Right.
But to have the kingdom, she's got to do what she's got to do to get it.
Right.
Problem is, will there be a kingdom to rule over?
Right.
And she's like, it should be a queendom,
Oh my gosh.
not a kingdom.
Yeah.
So she queendoms it. She hops on her dragon. She kills all the armies. And then it's time. Cersei is stuck in this castle with all the civilians. And this is where Daenerys decides, you killed my left-hand woman. You forced my hand. You think I'm weak? You think you beat me by doing this? Well, I'm the rightful queen, and it's this lust for power. And then you start realizing, throughout the last 8 seasons, Daenerys
Is a psychopath
has been a psychopath.
the entire time.
And we see it as, oh, she's the liberator of the slaves.
Right.
What did she do to the slave masters?
Yeah.
She burned them.
Yeah.
She killed everyone.
Now they're going to be human posts along the pathway pointing to the city.
Right.
You know?
She always has been a psychopath.
Right.
But the way that they shot her character, the way that they told the story,
Yeah.
it was through this lens of like, She's
the best.
good.
Yeah.
She's the best. And then you realize in season 8, when you're stuck between, she can't just take the kingdom and be who she was.
Yep.
In order to take it, she's got to freaking take it.
Right.
She's got to kill.
Right.
So what does she do? She burns everybody alive. She burns the whole city down. She kills everybody.
Right.
And then she destroys the castle, and Cersei dies in the rubble
Right.
Along with Jamie.
with Jaime. And now Daenerys has taken her throne, but at what cost? She just killed millions of people. Probably not millions. Call it a million.
Million. Yeah.
A million people. She burned alive. And if she was supposed to be this beacon of hope, what about them?
Hey.
At what
hey,
cost?
Hey. You got to end the war.
Yeah.
You dropped that bomb on Hiroshima.
From the Lord.
On
It's like-
Nagasaki.
It reminds me of that Toby Mac song. I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul. What did she do? She took the world and lost her soul.
Dang.
It's poetic.
It's a slow fade.
Do you know why it's poetic, Noah? Because the whole show, they're reminding her.
chance to
They're reminding her who her father is, the Mad King who
Right.
wanted to burn everyone alive.
Right.
But no, she's different. Is she? No, she's not. She kills everyone at the end.
When a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin.
The world holds its breath.
Yep. She was a bad coin.
And the Honorable Jon Snow, what does he do? He's like, oh my God.
She is crazy.
She's nuts.
Yeah.
So he puts a knife in her chest.
Kills her.
Jon Snow kills her. And
A bunch of other things happen after that, you know.
and yeah, this is where the show
Things wrap up pretty quick.
pretty quickly. And
But for the better part of it.
they're like, who's going to be the king? We don't have a rightful heir.
Right.
And we can't really name Jon Snow because he just killed the queen.
Yeah. You remember that guy we weren't talking about before, Bran?
Bran the Broken.
Yeah.
This is where Tyrion, the most knowledgeable, like the biggest thinker of the group.
Right.
He's on trial to be killed again for helping his brother escape. He paid back. That's a long story. But Tyrion's back on trial, and he gives this epic speech about what it means to be honorable and whatever. And
Right.
they're trying to decide as a council who's going to be the king.
Right.
And Tyrion says, there's nobody better here. Nobody has a better story than Bran the Broken.
Oh my gosh. So true.
Bran the three-eyed raven who knows all of our stories, all of our past.
Right.
Because he went through magic training and he learned how to touch a tree and learn everything.
Right.
That's pretty much it. He should be
H3O.
king.
It's that quick.
And Bran's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. You're like, what? You little punk.
Yeah.
So Bran becomes king. And then Sansa steps up and says, no, Winterfell's going to be independent and I'm going to be a queen. And you're like, wait, what?
And then Brad's like the king. He's like, I'll allow it.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
And then they're like, Jon Snow, you should be killed. But instead,
We're just going to banish you to the wall.
you're going to live out your life at the Night's Watch again. It's like, dang it, I already died there once, but
Is there even a Night's Watch anymore?
So then he gets back to the Night's Watch, and there isn't a Night's Watch. And
Right.
There's
a whole bunch of wildlings
a whole bunch of wild
the wall is gone.
who
at this
still
point.
like him.
Hey, we're just hanging out. We won the battle, you know. And then he's like, hey, guys, just keep going north.
They ride north.
Yeah.
And it sets up this ending of Bran the Broken, who barely got by all 8 seasons, who had the most internal growth
Right.
and learned these magic powers and all this thing. And he kind of died to himself and became a bigger component of the story. He becomes the king.
Right.
Sansa, who has been through hell and back, who everybody has taken advantage of, who has like the worst life probably out of everybody at this point in the show.
Right.
She ends up saying, no, I want Winterfell to be its own nation and I'm going to be the queen. She gets that.
We'll allow it.
We'll allow it. Bran's the king. Arya is like,
What's west of Westeros?
what's west of Westeros?
Yeah,
We know
let's-
Essos and Westeros, but what's west of that?
So she's just like, I'm going to get on a boat.
She's like, I'm going to prove these flat earthers wrong.
Right.
Dang.
So Arya's gonna go explore.
It just circles back to the other side of Essos.
Yeah, the other territory.
And then you have like, the Council of the King.
And Bran punishes Tyrion. Tyrion's trial ends with Bran saying, "You are going to be the hand of the king until you die." And it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Perfect.
'Cause he's the best hand.
He is.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be, but he is.
Honestly, Bran won. He won the Game of Thrones.
And that's pretty much Lord of the Rings. That's Game of Thrones for you. Obviously, we left out a lot of other
There's literally
storylines.
so much. We were trying to be quick about that, and I feel, there's just so much that is it's so great about this show that you got to be quick about it. So now I say we talk like people. Pause it right now, go watch the entirety of the show, and then come back at this minute.
And then resume.
Just leave your browser open or your thing on pause, and then do not exit the app. Just go watch,
Right.
then come back.
We know you keep tabs open. You got it.
So, Noah, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What are your top characters of the show?
The top characters. Oh, wait, let me look at my list here. Okay. I'm going to
order.
In order. Obviously, I'm not going to say in order because I'm going to leave it up to chance here. Just like the gods with the Targaryens.
Okay.
I'm going to lead with Jon Snow, though. I'm not saying he's my favorite, but he's pretty well up there. Jon Snow's great. I love Tyrion. I love Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's probably
a wildling.
He's a wildling. Great character. Hilarious. Who else do we got here? Who else? Not Lancel Lannister. Forget that guy. I hate to say it, but like Theon Greyjoy this is wild.
What?
I feel like he had a really good story arc. He's not on the list though, but I'm just gonna throw that out there just so we have reference of it. Honestly, while we were talking about it, it was Ned. He was at one of those top lists. Forget him now.
Why?
I'll get into that. Sam. God, what's his name? Sam Tarly.
Samuel Tarly.
Yeah, that's he's.
Just
What is
a
that?
teddy
4?
bear.
Is that 4?
I think.
I'm gonna do a female. here. Egret.
I love it.
Everybody Johnson. Thanks out.
I love it.
Yeah. What about you?
So my top characters of Game of Thrones are Samuel Tarly.
Yep.
Because he's just a teddy bear. You just love him. Everything about him.
He wrote the Song of Ice and Fire.
I like the Mountain.
Really?
Yeah,
What? Okay.
I do. I like the Mountain.
Sandor Clegane.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like his story. I like Bronn.
Oh, dude, yeah, I love Bronn.
Bronn is awesome. He fights for Tyrion. He's
And
just
Jaime.
he's like selfish but also selfless at the same time.
Yep.
I love him. Robb Stark, the young wolf, or that's what they call him, right?
Yeah.
The young wolf. I loved his story, his revenge arc.
Yep.
He was coming to take over for his dad, and he dies. Arya. I'm just gonna say it.
Wow.
I liked her. Her story was a little confusing, but when she had her moment where she killed the girl who was constantly beating her,
Yeah.
that was sweet. That was like straight Daredevil stuff.
Just animalistic.
Cuts the lights. It was great.
Night.
Ned Stark, the honorable Ned Stark. He kind of set the tone for his kids. Tyrion. Because the imp, he's funny.
yeah.
He's great.
If Tyrion isn't on your list, you don't
His
appreciate
family his family hates him, abandons
Right.
him. His dad wanted to put him to death. But still he overcame,
the show.
killed everybody that did him wrong.
Yeah. Right.
And then he ended up becoming Hand of the King, which is so fitting. But my all-time favorite character of this show and every other show and every other movie, my favorite character of all time is Jon Snow.
Wow.
He is the most amazing story arc I've ever seen. This man who, just like Tyrion, isn't cared for by his mom. He is the illegitimate son. Where's his place in all this?
Right.
His rise through the ranks of the Night's Watch.
Right.
He becomes Lord Commander. He puts his butt on the line for everybody, the Night's Watch and the Wildlings. He bridges the gap between these two people that hate each other.
Yeah.
And he does it by walking over to them and talking to them and being an example. Being like actually being a leader, not standing behind and ordering people around.
Just honorable.
A super honorable man.
Yeah.
And this guy who dies for the enemy, really. The enemy being the Wildlings.
Right.
The guy who bands together Daenerys, who is hell-bent on becoming the queen of Westeros, and just
figures
humbling himself to the point of just, I don't even want to be king.
Yeah.
I just want to save these people.
Right.
He denies like the throne. He doesn't want to be king. They name him King of the North, and he's like, I don't even want to be that.
Right.
There's something so, it's like your Samwise Gamgee of like, I don't want the ring. Like there's something so powerful.
It's more so Aragorn, because like it's like when Frodo was good, he's like, here, you take it, and he like takes his hand and closes it.
What did I say? Samwise?
Yeah.
I meant
Sam's the real
Aragorn.
character. Though.
Samwise too, though.
Yeah,
Can't-
same.
I can't carry it for you.
Yeah.
But I can carry
But I
you.
can't carry you.
He's literally, dude. Yeah. Jon Snow is just a phenomenal human
It's
being.
like George Washington. I don't know if you guys knew this. When we beat the British,
Right.
they offered George Washington the throne.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Nah.
no,
We're doing
No.
it. We're doing it different.
I did not fight for that.
Right.
And just that perfect example of Jon Snow, who doesn't care about power. He just wants to do what's right. And he's willing to sacrifice himself to
Right.
get there. And he does. He dies for the people that he is putting his life out on the line for.
They kill him.
They literally kill him for it.
Yeah.
It is a Jesus story.
Yep.
It is.
Sir Davos. Another great one.
Another great one, yeah. But no, Jon Snow is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite top moments of this show as a whole?
The top. We didn't talk about it a whole lot, but the battle where, where they go north of the wall. I cannot remember.
It's
the battle of
Hardhome.
Hardhome.
Yeah, I wrote that too for mine.
Did you? Really?
That's my number one.
Dude, when he gets the Valyrian, like that blew my mind. With like where he's like they're getting just killed, and then a White Walker comes in and just starts just icing everybody. And
Yeah,
then,
so at this point in the show, Jon is trying to band the Wildlings together to fight for the same cause and stop fighting each other.
So he goes to like the capital of the Wildlings.
Yes.
And then,
He goes to talk to them. But as he's doing this, the dead show up with the Night King, and they just start killing everyone.
yeah, it's
And there's this moment where the dead have killed so many of the Wildlings, and Jon Snow and these other Wildlings just get on boats and just dip out. They're on the run, just trying to get home, get out of there
but
alive.
Before that, Jon Snow's sword is made of Valyrian steel. And that's where it's really cool, because they're in a battle, and then this White Walker's running around like trying to kill Jon Snow, and he's grabbing every sword he can, trying to like kill the thing, and he can't. And then he falls over, he sees his sword, crawls over to his sword, and then he blocks the shot. And then it's like, oh my gosh,
This sword is something
they
different.
can't break Valyrian steel. And then he just cuts through the White Walker, and it's wild.
Yeah, so we learned Valyrian steel's the only thing that can really
Yeah.
fight these things.
That and
Dragon Glass.
And Dragon Glass.
Which Sam
which is their
actually,
name for obsidian.
Yeah, Sam's actually the first one to kill a White Walker, just by chance, actually.
Yeah.
He was just trying something.
The highlight of this part though, where the dead show up and kill everyone, was when they're on the run, they get on their boats and they're far enough away to where the dead don't go in the water. They don't swim. So it's all of the dead army and the Night King just standing there watching them float away. And the
Then
Night King just
they
like,
just raise.
he raises his arms
Right.
up, and all of the dead wildlings
Right.
Josh Groban.
raise up.
Right.
You raise me up. They all the dead wildlings rise up and are now zombies for the Night King. And you're like, and it's just silent. It's
Yeah.
just Jon Snow like in disbelief. It's the Night King being like, I'm gonna get you.
Right.
Yeah, that part, that's one of my favorites for sure.
So another one of my favorite parts, and I just thought about it, was when it's the long night, and a bunch of battle happens. Like I'm not even getting into it, but basically it gets to a point where they knock down the Night King's dragon, and then he falls down, and then Daenerys just torches him. They're like, oh my God, we just killed the Night King. And then he's like, nah, fire can't hurt me. And then it's Jon lands, and Jon realizes he's got Longclaw. So he's like, I'm going to beeline and just kill this guy. And he's just full on sprinting, and you're screaming just for him to get there and kill him. And then as he's doing it, there's just bodies raising up, like as he's running. And then Jon realizes, I'm not going to get to him. And then it's, oh gosh.
Well, no, the dragon turns to him too.
Right. And then he ducks behind cover, and then you're like, God, who's going to kill this guy? And then eventually it's Arya, but that's just an awesome scene too.
Yeah, the long night.
And then just Hodor. Anything with Hodor. Especially him holding the door.
Man.
That broke my heart.
Yeah, that I was a little nervous about that actually, because they started dabbling in this idea of like Bran can change the past, and I thought, oh no,
He can kind of go sightseeing through history, through time.
Don't do this where you go back in time now.
Can we see some trauma with Hodor or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Like just don't mess with anything the show has done at this point. Like I was scared they were gonna go that route, and they didn't. Okay. So
it's like Avengers Endgame, you know what I mean?
But there was a part where Hodor, his name is Hodor because that's all he can say is Hodor. Hodor. Hey, what's up, Hodor? Hodor.
He's a 7 foot tall
buffoon.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Beautiful soul.
Bran can't walk, so basically Hodor just carries him around everywhere. So he's his little White Walker. I don't know.
So while
there you go.
While Bran's at his Airbnb tree, they're in there. The White Walkers start just flooding, trying to kill Bran, because we could get into it, the whole thing with Bran and like the Raven thing, but basically they want to kill Bran, and everybody's trying to flood outside of this tree, and there's a door to get inside this tree. So I don't know why the heck they flood into the tree, and then they get out. It's like a Scooby-Doo thing. They flood in, and it's like, why aren't there people outside waiting for them?
Right.
But anyway, everybody floods inside this tree, and then everybody runs out, and then Hodor has to basically hold the door, and then it cuts to like...
And it's Bran who has just become the Three-Eyed Raven, where he can go into the past and learn what has happened up until this point. And he's in the past watching a young Hodor.
Right.
And in the present...
Back when his name was Willis.
Was it Willis?
Willis.
I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. Not to me, it isn't.
In the past, Hodor is like this kid.
Right.
And Bran is like watching as things happen, and he's learning.
Right.
But Bran is also in the present where the dead army is coming for him.
Right.
And Hodor is holding the door, holding all the dead back, trying to protect Bran. And there's this other character who's yelling, hold the door, like don't let them through, because Bran is
in the weird
in
trance.
The past.
Yeah, in the past trance.
Like his mental state is in the past, but his body is in the present.
So then he Borgs Hodor in the past, and then Hodor in the present is holding the door.
So,
but it's
Bran has these powers where he can go in the past, look at things, but he also has these powers where he can control people, control animals. He can see through their eyes, all that kind of stuff. So what he does is he controls Hodor a lot in the show, where they're in trouble, and he's like, I just got to take over Hodor's mind because he's an idiot.
Yeah, and I'll just beat the heck out of him.
And I need to get out of this situation. So in this case, he's in the past, but takes over the past's version of Hodor's mind, and he's drilling into Hodor, hold the door, don't let the dead come through, hold the door, but he pushes too hard, and it literally
like mentally breaks Hodor.
Hodor.
So Hodor goes his entire life just
saying hold the door.
Yeah.
Hodor. hold door.
It's a really bad revelation.
And it's this full circle moment where this guy has been saying Hodor for 8 seasons, and you realize
you just think he's like mentally ill, and then you realize, oh, that's why he does.
Oh, this guy that has dedicated his life to protecting Bran. You find out Bran literally went back in time and wrecked this guy's life.
Well, it's an interesting thing because it's like in a lot of stories, like you said earlier, time travel. Oh no, they're going to redo things. It's like, well, it's funny because the idea of like a character that can time travel, it's like, well, he could create paradoxes, right? He could, somehow undo his own birth or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's interesting that the show, at least in this case, reveals that all he really ends up doing is he forms a time loop. Mm-hmm. He basically becomes like the cause of an effect and like a kind of a contingency thing where the only reason he became the Three-Eyed Raven was because of Hodor. And then the only reason Hodor became Hodor was because of him. And so it's a very sad scene. It's played very well. It's directed fantastically. It's tragic.
Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Not enjoyed it, but it hit me in the feels.
I put in the episode ends and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I put in the top 46 saddest things in my life.
For sure.
Hodor, saving the door.
Hodor.
Another positive one. How many is that? Like 3, 2, 3. But another positive one is just, Jon Snow's A-list team to go get the zombies. Or the white, or whatever the heck they call them.
The White Walkers?
Yeah. Just this A-list team of like the characters that you watch the entire show, they've never had a conversation.
Right. It's like when the Avengers teamed up.
Literally. And then, oh my gosh, it's just, it's awesome. And then Gendry comes back and he's the hammer guy. It's great.
We're not even going to get into it.
Yeah.
But.
A whole nother.
So my top moments of this show.
Right.
Number 1, the John and the Wildlings fight at Hardhome, where they're drifting away on the boat and it's just silent for like 3 minutes.
Right.
Dang.
And it's just, the Night King never says a word the whole show, but he's terrifying.
Scary looking Darth Maul.
So that was my number 1. Number 2, Battle of the Illegitimate
Children.
Ramsay versus when he prematurely runs after Rickon and almost gets himself killed, all that stuff. My number 3, Jon Snow comes back to life, kills the people that killed him, and they go, Lord Commander, what do we do next? And he's like, I'm not your Lord Commander. My watch is ended. And he just walks out. I loved it. Number 4, Cersei blows up the Sept.
Really?
The music.
Yeah.
It was like I want to say it was a violin playing.
I think it was a piano piece.
Was it? It was, it was like hard. I can't think of it. I don't know. What's bigger than a violin? What's that?
Cello.
A cello. I think it's a cello. I think it is.
Might be both.
It could be.
The boogeyman.
I thought that was awesome. That was a very Palpatine-esque.
Yeah.
Where you're like, they got her. Finally, they got her. And then she just
dies.
Always finds a way to come out on top.
It's like the sad scene of all the Jedi getting killed in Order 66.
Right.
Exactly. Number 5, Littlefinger execution. We didn't talk too much about Littlefinger. Master manipulator.
I hated that scene, but yeah, go on.
Peter Baelish.
Okay.
Manipulates his way. He is playing the long game.
Right.
He's not one to fight. He's one to manipulate. So he's trying to manipulate a Sansa who spent her whole life getting manipulated.
Right.
And there's this full circle moment where Littlefinger convinces Sansa that Arya is a traitor and Sansa needs to do something about her.
Right.
So Sansa is putting on a trial and she's talking to Arya in front of everyone at Winterfell. And then she's like, I want to put
whoever on for treason.
Yeah. We're here to decide the guilt or innocence of treason of Peter Baelish.
Yeah, and you think it's gonna be Arya because it's like Baelish is playing.
You tried to turn me on my own sister, and then Arya's like, say the word. She's like, boom, and then Arya slits his throat. It was awesome because I thought for sure Peter Baelish was getting to the end. I thought he was gonna be an end game player. And he died.
That was a good scene. Now that I think about it, but
Got beat by a couple little girls.
I mean, they're sisters, you know. They can't just turn on each other.
And then another honorable mention, Arya, when she killed Walder Frey.
Dude, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Arya
Got her
Frey
revenge for the Red
Yeah.
Wedding.
gets her revenge.
For real. That's a phenomenal scene. She takes off a mask because she can do that in this, you know.
Yeah, we won't get into
Yeah,
that
we'll
either.
get into
But Arya kills all the men and Walder Frey.
It's basically the reverse Red Wedding,
Yes.
you know. No, another really good mention, honestly, that just the way it was shot too was you know, Bran when he's looking to the past, and the whole Ned sequence with
Oh yeah.
his sister and everything like that. And basically the whole premise of the show is the reason Robert Baratheon's in power is because of Robert's rebellion, the war, and you know, you have all these moments of which, you know, it's alluded to that there was this big great war, and this is basically how the houses all became in power and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole premise of that war was what do you call it? Rhaegar Targaryen, you know, was like basically stealing Lyanna Stark, who's Robert's
Fiance, I think.
at the time, yeah. But really they were in love, Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, and then they had a son who basically ends up being Jon Snow. But like the payoff of like nobody knew that, and then it cuts to Ned going in the tower, and then she has a baby, and then like he like just takes the baby as his own and basically makes this massive lie to like, you know, oh, I had an illegitimate child, but it's not his illegitimate child, it's his nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does it to protect him because he knows his buddy Robert would kill that kid right on sight. So it's just beautiful. And then like the cuts of like the baby to Jon Snow's face, it's like, oh man. I was screamed. I didn't realize the weight of it until like we, you know, me and my brother-in-law were sitting around talking around. He's like, dude, he's like the heir to the Iron Throne. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So I totally misread that scene. I thought Jon Snow was a Baratheon.
I thought he was a baby.
thought he was Robert's kid.
Oh, okay.
And then like 3 episodes later, they really let you know Rhaegar.
Right.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I misread that, but yeah, that was a interesting twist.
Yeah. It's a big one.
I want to go and mention some of the worst characters of the show, though. Now,
Top 25 worst Game of Thrones characters.
no, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only got 8.
You only got 8.
So I got top 8 worst
All right,
characters.
Top 8. All right,
go
I'm
through
on
them
it.
real quick.
Let's do Shay, Tyrion's
absolutely.
girlfriend. Yeah, forget her. Tommen, Myrcelle, those awful Lannister kids. Just
Oh my gosh.
yeah, they're the worst. Shireen, that's Stannis Baratheon's daughter. Let's see, just
You think she's the worst?
yeah. I mean, just like I didn't really. I just didn't care for her.
Okay.
You know, that's just about it. His wife too. His wife's the worst. That's what? That's 6. Loras Tyrell.
Okay.
That's the brother of the girl.
All the Tyrells are kind of uppity.
Are you saying like worse as in like we just didn't care for them,
Just
or
worst character.
just the worst character?
Give me one more.
Give me one more. Oh, Euron Greyjoy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I hate him.
So my worst characters of Game of Thrones. Alistair Thorne. It was either between him and Jon Snow to become the Lord Commander.
Yeah.
He's the guy who betrayed Jon Snow and killed him.
Right.
In the early on when Jon Snow first joined, he was like egging on Jon Snow, and then Jon Snow kind of flipped on him, and he's like, "You're gonna hang for that." He was gonna hang him, but then they didn't hang Jon Snow.
Right.
And then Jon Snow ends up hanging him. So he's one. Peter Baelish, he's the worst. He
Yeah.
manipulates
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Stannis Baratheon, he kills his own daughter.
It's hilarious because I put his daughter as the worst.
Right. He burns his own daughter alive out of like out of good faith to the Lord of Light. That
Yeah, hey, we don't want a little bit of more snow, so let's just
right.
burn my daughter to not have that.
Ramsey Bolton, what he did to Sansa, what he did to Rickon, what he did to
See, I love the
Theon.
villains. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I just
Don't like him. Ollie.
the kid who shot Egret.
Yeah. So, yeah. The kid who put the final blow into Jon Snow to kill
Right.
him. The kid who kills Egret,
Right.
Jon Snow's lover.
Oh yeah, he was on the hanging block.
Yeah, they hung him.
Oh my gosh.
I got Shay.
Yeah.
She just betrayed
Shay,
Tyrion.
yeah.
Cersei. Because you just hate her.
I did. Yeah,
But she's
yeah.
also a great character.
right.
She plays her character well.
Right.
And then by far the worst character of Game of Thrones.
Uncle Benji.
No. The worst character is by far King Joffrey.
Oh yeah.
The worst.
Dude, but I love the villains. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I you hate them so much, but then there's like just other characters that like I just didn't care for at all.
King Joffrey was my favorite character.
No way. No
That's
way.
how you know they did good acting if you hate them that much. You know,
Sure.
because you're supposed to hate them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not because I'm supposed to hate them. Like I hate them.
Right.
Like I don't know.
100%.
Real quick, Noah, what did you not like about the show? And what would you fix?
In the beginning, I said, Ned Stark was, one of my top favorite characters. But then I really remembered just a really dumb part he had where he was like investigating like the whole Hand of the King thing and like the somebody might have murdered them. And he's going around looking at it. And there is so much like alluded to that, like him and Robert Baratheon were like good buddies. And it's like, that's his best friend, obviously. And it's like, he's the Hand of the King now. Or he was the Lord of Winterfell, and then he ended up becoming the Hand of the King. And he refused to being the Hand of the King before to Robert. And it took him so long to basically figure out that Joffrey wasn't his king. He opens a book up and he's looking at it and he's like, wait, every Baratheon was born with dark hair? And he's like, this just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's like looking at it and it doesn't even click in his head that like he doesn't go to the. So that was just one thing. I'm like, Ned's kind of a moron.
Sure.
He didn't deserve what he deserved, but
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
that just bothered the heck out of me.
Yeah. I could see that.
Anything with Gilly,
Okay.
and that
Samuel
baby.
Tarly's girlfriend.
Yeah, and the baby. Just unsafe.
Just a liability
Yeah, just
in the grand scheme of things.
why is she in battle? Like, what's-
She's just like one long escort mission that lasts the whole show.
100%. A lot of people rip on the ending. Do we want to get into that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so a lot of people rip on the ending. I feel like me and David, both similarly liked it for the same reason, because we can continue to watch. Next on. I can understand where if you're waiting a week,
Years. For the next one.
for 45 minutes of content.
Jon Snow is dead.
Jon
and you
Snow-
gotta wait.
Right. Right. I didn't get that really. Oh my God, Jon Snow's dead. And then, because the next episode I watched.
So I want to plug real quick, actually. When Jon Snow died, that was my breaking point. I stood up and very angrily told Emily, I'm done. I'm not watching the show.
Right.
I'm actually mad that you would let me
Watch
get into
it.
the show.
You love it.
Because I am so, like, I have so much anxiety and so much, like, hate for, like, nothing goes right in the show.
Right.
And the people I love are all dying. What are you doing to me?
Right.
Like, so I was really mad. And she's like, just watch the next episode. He comes back.
Oh my gosh.
She just flat out told
Yeah,
me.
because I was done.
Yeah.
I gave up on Game of Thrones.
So it's hilarious because we watched it at my brother-in-law's and we had like some bootleg USB thing and he was selecting it and Jon Snow literally gets murdered. And then there's an episode between where he's dead and they're like trying to process it and stuff like that. And then at the end of that episode, he comes back. But then the next episode is him waking up.
Right.
So literally he died and then Drew immediately hit him coming back to life. So we didn't have time to process it.
You're just like, wait. I know
I
they
was so
stabbed
upset
him.
about it.
You
And
just
then
like accidentally skipped an episode.
he accidentally skipped an episode and then like It was just funny. It was really. I never let him live it down. But
That's funny.
yeah, for real, man. That was just like, actually, what were we talking about?
The ending.
Yeah, the ending. Just, I mean, there's like, everybody has a stigma on it because it's like you're waiting on it, and then your 45 minutes isn't worth the payoff for it. But because we got to just kind of sit there and binge it, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed the ending, and I figured it was not going to end good because you heard, you know, talking to Roger, he's like, just like, what do you love? He's like, you're gonna hate the ending, and it's like, if you were waiting for that, I could see why you would hate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it does feel kind of rushed.
Absolutely.
Like super rushed. But I feel like they kind of took everything and wrapped it up really good. And it wasn't supposed to be like, oh, Daenerys just had a rapid change of character and then just killed a bunch of people. It was kind of like,
you look back,
it was always
those
there.
qualities were always there.
100%.
That's
yeah.
it was very well done, I think.
It ended exactly how I would have wanted it to end.
And I'm going to say, I'm not trying to like make myself sound like I know everything when I say this, but throughout the show, I was out loud telling Emily, I think this is what's going to happen. And a lot of times it happened. Right. And it made me like the show because it's not that it was predictable. It's that's how I would have wrote it.
Right.
Like if I was in charge, that's how I would have done it.
Right.
And they did that and then some, where I was still surprised. That's why I loved it so much. I straight up told Emily, I think the show is going to end with Jon Snow getting offered the throne. And I said this early on, like season 4. I said, I think he's going to be offered the throne, but he doesn't want it. Right. And I think he's going to give it to Daenerys. And as the show went on, I realized like what more and more was happening. Right. And that is what happened.
Yeah.
He was the rightful heir. And he's like, no, she's my queen. But
then he killed her.
When there was that moment where they beat all the armies in King's Landing.
Right.
And then she's like, more.
Right.
Kill them. Kill everybody. And she just starts going off. I went, great. Now they gotta kill her.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was coming.
Someone had to go.
Someone had to die.
I wasn't upset about it. I think it was very poetic.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of how they did Jon Snow. I kind of wanted him to become king without any mention of him being the rightful ruler due to his birthright.
No,
but
okay.
The way the show ended, he is kind of the king of the wildlings. He went north where he is their leader. Right. They made that well known at the end when they're all walking north and he's the only one on a horse. It was very
right.
Just the way they showed that scene, he is their leader.
Right.
And then Sansa, who went through all that just to become queen of her home at the end.
Stupid.
Sure.
Right.
Give it to her, I guess. Even though your brother became the king of everything.
Yeah, I don't.
So,
what did you think about Bran becoming king?
I thought that was fitting, and I didn't see that coming. I thought that was perfect, though.
I didn't see it coming either, but I 100% would agree with it.
Bran the Broken, who has a better story?
He knows it. He knows exactly what to do.
I think there were a couple things I didn't like that I want to mention. Arya's direwolf didn't have much to do with the show.
It came back for a second.
She let her direwolf go early on because he was going to get killed. Yep. Nymeria was its name, actually, so it might have been a girl. But the wolf was going to die, so she let it go early on. Towards the end of the show, she comes across her direwolf in the forest. And she tries to talk to it, and it literally turns its back on her and leaves. Everybody Arya has been close with has died or whatever at this point. So for her to find her wolf and it just be turn the other way and go. Yeah. There was that moment where she snuck up on 1 million dead people and the Night King. Right. And she just lunges at the Night King with the very weapon that is needed to kill him. I think it would have been really cool, a really opportune moment for them to have the Night King catch Arya, and in that moment of, oh shoot, I didn't kill him in one step, her direwolf coming in distracting everything, maybe not taking out the Night King, but like doing something to draw the attention for then Arya to drop her knife into her other hand and stab him. That would have been a cool full circle
Like a
with her
distraction.
wolf.
Yeah.
Where they don't overuse her wolf. They don't make it overpowered and annoying.
Right.
I think it would have been a cool moment to bring her wolf back as someone who is still in Arya's corner, even though Arya had to let it go early on.
Yeah.
I think that would have been cool. Again, the Jon Snow thing, I kind of wish he became king, but I'm good with the way they did him. And the other thing, Cersei's death. I wanted more.
No,
I wanted her to die.
Dude, I wanted
Straight up.
I was so happy with it because like it doesn't need to be like some extravagant like crazy death scene of like brutally murder or like, you know, just getting scalded by fire or whatever. It was like, yeah, like she got crushed by the thing she was trying to keep, you know, in the Red Keep. Like it's just, you know.
And I think what's important to note is Cersei always wins.
Right.
She's a very Palpatine-esque lady. She knows how to manipulate everything going on.
Right.
She did win, if you think about it. She knew she couldn't beat Daenerys,
Right.
so she did everything she could to defeat Daenerys.
Right.
And she did. She changed.
That's a very good point.
She forced
very good
Daenerys'
point.
hand.
Yeah.
If you want the kingdom, sacrifice everything you've been building. Sacrifice everything you've been standing for to get it.
Right.
And then what do you have? Nothing. Like that Toby Mac song. I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul.
Right.
I don't have to win. We just both have to lose.
What do you think, Sean?
Well, you know, the thing about that show is the conversation about how people were very disappointed with the last 2 seasons has been done to death. So I don't really need to get into that. And also I find it really interesting and kind of cool that you guys both thoroughly enjoyed it start to finish. And so I think that is a testament to how well the show overall is, despite some of its flaws.
For sure.
The only thing I'll say about the show, kind of my piece on it, is I think what makes the show very good, what is probably the reason it's so compelling and popular in society, and why it just kind of like drove culture and entertainment for like a decade, is because it is a story where there are very, very, very few examples of just straight good and evil. Instead, virtually every character is varying shades of gray. And I think that audiences really loved watching that because it created a lot of opportunity for things to happen that were not so clean cut. And also what kind of made that sort of brilliant is it allows characters to get really, really complex. You know, if you understand their goals, they're not always so simply good or evil, good or bad. Like a lot of times you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. And like no better example of this is probably Jaime Lannister. In the first couple seasons, you're like, that guy's the worst. I hate his guts. But then he's like a hero by the end to you. And it's because the show was successful at giving you just enough empathy and sympathy and understanding of all the characters so that even the most hated and worst people in the show you could grow to love.
Exactly.
There's very few characters that are like pure evil, unredeemable. Like the show doesn't bother to try to make them better, like Joffrey.
Right.
Yeah. Ramsay.
Or Ball. Yeah.
And so I think that kind of writing of characters where they're real people, they have both good and evil in them. I think that's really well done. Right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's probably why some people were disappointed with the way it all wrapped up. Maybe not because of how it ended, but because people, I think people just get upset by, you know, trying to force the conclusion so quickly.
Yeah.
Just like rush to the end when they really want there to be like just like has been for the shows thus far, a natural progression to how a character becomes who they become. And there's other characters like Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah.
Who, you know, becomes seemingly irredeemable because he betrays his family, his best friend. It's like, what the heck? But then you see how a character can get so tortured that eventually even an
You're
audience is
rooting
like,
for
yeah,
him.
you're rooting for him to like.
Just get something. Yeah.
And that's actually a very, very commendable trait of writing and acting and any kind of storytelling, is when characters have like, even when you hate them, you love them.
Yeah.
Right.
And even when you love them, you hate them.
And I think Jamie is the best example of that.
Yeah.
A hated character who you actually come to love. But something too, I think that's noteworthy. I think like Infinity War was so good because as an audience, the movie ends and you're like, they just lost. When have we seen a movie where the good guys lose?
Right.
And I feel like we got that with Daenerys a little bit.
Oh.
Where like everybody loves a good redemption arc. Jamie's a good character. But what about a good character who goes bad?
Right.
Dang.
Other than like Anakin becoming Vader, but that's a prequel. But like,
You will try.
right. A character that is so well liked, but they turn the tides into turning them into someone.
Right.
I thought that was really cool, actually.
I mean, they even give like, it's very, very minor in the show, but they even give kind of a backstory for the Night King.
That was my other beef. That was very brief. My other beef with the show, I wanted more Night King.
Yeah.
I wanted more background. I wanted to know what the motive was. What is going on with the Night King? What does he want with Bran? He just kind of dies and you don't get much.
Sure.
I think they could have done a whole nother season rather than rushing Night King in 3 episodes and then Daenerys in 3 episodes.
I agree with that.
But I mean, whatever.
Well,
I'm good with it.
There is currently in production season 2 of House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, yeah.
I heard a rumor there's a Jon Snow.
Yeah, that's
show.
something up in the air possibly.
Okay.
They left it open-ended where it could go really anywhere. And I think, us watching it, almost 10 years later?
Dang.
Or whenever it is, whenever it came out. Yeah.
Came out in 2011, and I think it ended in 2018 or 19.
The show must go on.
I think we're the start of the next movement of
Yeah.
people just re-binging it.
Maybe if we talk about it enough,
Right.
it'll happen.
I do want to mention though my least favorite moment
Of the entire.
of the entire show. The dumbest thing that the show ever did
Yeah.
was put Ed Sheeran
Oh my God. I was going to say it.
as a freaking King's Landing dude.
Right.
A guard, whatever, singing in the forest.
Yep.
And then some stupid cheesy lines. When it doesn't show him, but you hear the singing in the forest. And I went, is that Ed Sheeran?
Right.
And as a joke, because Ed Sheeran wouldn't be in Game of Thrones, right?
Right.
And then he is. And I looked at Emily and I was like, what is going on? This feels like a McDonald's commercial or something. Like something is about to happen. I don't know.
I like the coffee cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cameo by the coffee
The
cup.
cameo by the coffee cup.
In medieval times. That's
Yeah.
right.
Overall, great show.
But
though.
yeah, what a great show. Obviously, it's not for everyone. Very brutal.
Yeah.
Very
we could sit
gory.
here and just explain in detail every ounce of it, but I think people just need to watch it for themselves.
For sure.
I was on that bandwagon of like, yeah, it's a great show. I'll watch it at some point. And then you actually watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a really good show.
It is. And if you have seen it and you got this far in the episode, because we're far.
Yeah.
If you got this far and you have your piece that you want to give us,
And just rip the show apart.
rip the show, rip me, rip Noah, rip
Yeah.
Sean,
Wait, no, don't rip me.
rip Austin. He's not even here.
Right.
That's the easy one.
Right.
He'll never see it.
We're a bunch
So,
of newbies who don't know what we're doing,
let me know who's your favorite characters. Who's your least favorite characters? What's your favorite moments? What would you change about the show? What did you like that they did? Did you like the ending? Did you agree? How do you feel about Daenerys? If you had a dragon, what would you name it?
Would you join a cult?
What house would you dedicate yourself to? House Stark for the win. Let us know in the comments.
What would your sword be called?
Yes, what would your sword be called? Carded. Please let us know
Right.
that it's likable of a show. I know it is. I think this podcast is fun. I'm a fan of this podcast. And that's not even like stroking my ego or anything. My favorite part is when Sean gets deep and I learn things about movies and and I laugh every time when Austin says, yeah, I've heard great things about that. No, the 99 Nerds is very new still. This is what, episode 46? We didn't even mention that at the beginning. This has been episode 46.
Dang.
We're almost at 50. And when we hit 100, I want you to be able to say,
We'll be boomers.
I was part of the 99 before they became the 99 million.
Oh my gosh.
So tell a friend, let them know to join before the crowds come and stampede us like they did Jon Snow at the Battle of the Illegitimate.
Yep. Children.
Let someone know, like, comment, subscribe.
Got one last thing to mention before we close out.
Yes.
Shout out to the birthday boy tomorrow, Noah.
Noah Terry,
thanks,
happy
guys.
birthday, dude.
I feel like Jon Snow, just going off into the end and living. Yeah,
That's good.
cool.
16 years old tomorrow.
The big 1-6.
As a joke, I wanted to give you some wine to drink on camera, like Joffrey at his. That was his
and-
wedding.
and
That wasn't
die.
his birthday. Never mind. Never mind.
They call it name day in the show.
Happy name day.
There was a Joffrey's name day scene in the show at one
That's
point.
true. Yeah, he was gonna kill someone. So don't
And then
kill
the
anybody.
guy's
Noah.
like, though it's bad luck to kill somebody on your name day. And then he killed him anyway later. Or at least somebody got him killed. It's a long story.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's another minor character.
Watch the show of Game of Thrones. It's a great show.
Or just watch this podcast.
Yeah.
Forget the show. We'll reiterate it every time.
We'll just recap. Yeah, this has been episode 46. We appreciate you guys. You guys ain't got anything else to say, Noah?
I hope everybody's doing okay.
And that came from his heart.
Yeah.
This has been episode 46. Thank you again. We love you. We appreciate you. And that's going to do it. Peace.
Is that it?
Yeah.